Okay, it's time. Welcome to the room 4, so the development track session. Today I'm going to talk about Teams provisioning with Power Automate and Forms. And I hope you have had a great Teams Fest so far. I've been enjoying this. I've been running through different tracks and sessions here and see what people are talking about and learning a lot of new things in the process as well. My name is Vesa Nopanen. I'm a principal consultant, Microsoft MVP. I work for Sulava in Finland, and I'm an MVP for Office Apps and Services, which is basically I have a Teams focus in here. I do a lot of stuff from adoption, end user to the visioning, touching some of the apps, and then of course doing lots of kind of power user stuff and presentations around Teams. And of course, the rest of the Microsoft 365 as well. There's SharePoint, Jammers, OneNotes, to-dos and everything, because they are all better together, of course. Feel free to join my LinkedIn and follow me on Twitter. And of course, check out my blog if you are interested to learn something more. There are lots of posts about Teams. There's also posts about the Graph APIs and also posts about the Power Automates. And today in this session, I will go through some of the Power Automates with some quick glance at Forms, but of course a bit about Graph API and how you can utilize that when you are doing the Teams provisioning. And we are not going to forget the adaptive guides either, because they are awesome. So a few words about Teams provisioning, the usual reasons why this is done. Of course, you want to increase governance. You want to control the life cycle. You want to bring in the kind of get it to your process and see what kind of teams are being created, when they should be renewed, or should there to be something to be considered about their content. Perhaps some organizations have kind of a billing processes, something else, whatever is in there. So you want to govern that all. So as it was very nicely said about the modern hell process, that Teams is an emperor if the Office 365 if the imperium is the governance, or governance is the imperium. Teams is the king or emperor there. Okay, you want to collect some of the information. Hey, we want to know more. Some of the information can be collected automatically, but some you need to collect from the end users. We need to know something about the teams we are creating. It's included in the governance process, of course. And there may be some custom lifecycle management. You want to have some alerts about that. You may want to archive some of the information. You may want to remove some of the channels, perhaps even. So you can work your own processes if you know more about when and why this team was provisioned. Of course, you may want to use templates. I see this is going to be visible in a few sessions today. So you may have some special needs when to use which kind of templates, how to do different kinds of teams. Because of course, then when templates, you may want to pre-populate some of the information. You want to kind of create something in there. So add channels, add tabs, add some content, perhaps add even applications. So using that in the Teams provisioning, that's when you want to do that. You don't want to go and let the end users do everything, but instead you can get there in between. They ask for a team, and then you want to have it pre-populated with certain information. Of course, you want to avoid a few things like long delays. Nobody wants to wait for the team for an hour or a week or something like that. So, or even in some cases, some has to fill up the paper paper and sign it, and then it goes to an approval process with the signing, and then for the next. Okay, but that has been actually a real example. I don't think that's going to be relevant these days in this situation currently, but there's lots of different kind of processes. So avoid the long delays. Try to do more and more quickly, and without that kind of manual steps. Manual steps cause errors, and of course it's usually causing delays. And yeah, people are the bottlenecks usually. But so you may want to automate anything you can, but when there's a need for human interaction there, then if the need is solid, then yeah, of course you need it. So kind of a quick overview how it goes. You get a request from forms from somewhere. It doesn't really matter. And you can get some user details from user profile. Then you can go and collect some missing information. Perhaps the user didn't fill all. Perhaps there are different kinds of teams or checks that, okay, we need to collect a bit more information. So you may ask for those from the requester. Then, in some cases, you may want this team to be approved, so it can be created, or perhaps there's enough information so you can create an auto approve it and say, okay, this is fine. He clearly needs this team. Then you can go ahead and create the team, create the channels, use the templates, add everything in there, and of course, don't forget the welcome message. It's important. People need to know what is this team, or at least some information. I'm sure that many of you have got added to a team that's empty. There's nothing, or there's perhaps one other channel. There's only the list of people who have been added to the team, and okay, what is this? I'm guessing from the name what is this, but there's nobody giving any information. So I really encourage to develop and use the welcome messages. One of the reasons is, of course, when the team is created and the people are added there, there's a welcome message to greet them. But you can also do some next steps, like create a welcome message for the new users who are being added to the team. A team owner can do that with Power Automate if they want. That's not included in this demo, but today. But it's a kind of I have a blog post about that, how you could create that kind of welcome message as well. So people feel welcome. You want to be friendly to them. And using the forms, it's easy to create a form. You can edit it, you can share it, you can collaborate that form with with some other people. It's a no-code solution, and you can even publish it without having you don't need a request. You can publish it so that people can request new teams anonymously if you want. Of course, it's not recommended in there. Of course, there are limits. You can't do much in forms. It's simple. It's power or superpower. And then you can consider the power apps. Hey, I want to do something else. I want to have some interactivity. I want to pre-fill some of the fields, and users can still change them. There's somebody has a microphone on. Okay, closed. All right. So you can do more tricks in Power Apps. It's more versatile. You can bring in images, you can bring in stuff in there, and kind of have it change its shape when you do some choices. So yeah, it's a kind of a tool I would most likely go with if you have more complex needs. But if you have a very simple need, yeah, Forms is a very good one to use. Of course, both Power Apps and Forms can be added to Teams as an app. So you can put it in here if you really need a lot of teams. So you have teams of orders ready. Hey, I go click there and start creating a new team. And you can do the same with the Power App if you want. So it's this left rail is an excellent place for for these team orders. You don't have to go inside a specific team. You don't have to belong to that specific team. You don't have to belong to any team, and you can still start creating a new team order if you want to. So it's a very good place to consider how do I start using this. Of course, the form or could be inside a SharePoint page, or it could be just a link somewhere, so it will open the forms traditionally or the Power Apps traditionally. But that is a very good place for that. Or if you have a custom code SPFX form, you can bring that to Teams these days. I think Vesa Juvonen talks about that in his session. And how do you make it? There's this app builder or app studio inside Teams. You can go ahead and create a new manifest. And the trick is actually that you just add a personal tab there. You fill in the mandatory information for the app and just have some kind of GUID or entity ID there and just put the form URLs there. Okay, if you want to use this with the Teams desktop, it cannot require the authentication. So it has to be anonymous form. But and if you're doing it with the Power Apps, yeah, it requires the user to be signed in, so it works in the desktop edition as well. So recommendation, yeah, use Power Apps, but if your need is simple and you don't really have to worry about these few steps, then yeah, use forms. You need a place where you store the data. I put the bad name or the SharePoint there. Well, it's not a bad name. It's going to start a good debate with the Power Platform people. Sometimes it's the CDS or SharePoint. But SharePoint is included with Office 365. It's included with the Office 365 licenses. It is really easy to create a kind of a list for a specific site where you can add columns. You can store the information you need. Again, since we are using forms in this example, we can assume that this request, this list can be relatively simple as well. Yeah, you can use SharePoint list easily with Power Automate. There's not a big deal. You can update the field columns, and you can add information there, and yeah, you can work on the basic stuff there quite easily. Just watch out for some of the SharePoint data types. I try to stick to the very basic types like numbers and text, or select one from columns, because otherwise you end up with arrays, and that's when things are going to be a bit more complicated. Like multi-select this, you need to work with the Power Automate a bit more to get that working. There are limits. You can create a row level permission, but in most of the cases, if you think about the provisioning, you're hitting the provisioning, and the end user who did it doesn't even see the list. So it's managed by IT or by this process, so they can see everything what's in there. They can work on those. So it's really kind of usually good enough. And of course, if you want to go higher, the CDS is for serious needs and for serious business. It has lots of good things, but then again, you need some kind of a better plan with Power Apps or Power Platforms to get access to CDS. Something else is about the approvals. There's kind of cases when you want to have an approval process before somebody can create new team. Okay, so it's a kind of some companies have that, and it's fine. Traditionally, you have a kind of list of something to approve. You get an email notification or something like that, or you get a link to the where you can accept this request, and then it is assigned to one or few people, and the process is usually, I have found that it's easily very stiff, so it's not that flexible in a way. In a modern way, I think you should direct these to the governance team or some team and any member of that team could approve, is it okay to provision or not. In that case, that particular approval is not bottlenecked by a single person. It can, anyone from a team can approve it, and everyone else in the team can see it's been approved. Yeah, it can send an email approval as well, but with these approvals, it's great that once it's approved once, then no one else can kind of approve it again. So if it's approved in Teams, the email is automatically updated, so it shows that it's approved. And of course, adaptive cards are awesome. These play a kind of key role in here because you can bring in the information to the team, you can bring in the information to the people in a very kind of more visual way. I'm not a big graphics guy in here, so I have a very simple adaptive cards, but you can already see that they are really awesome because you can. It's a lot better than just a plain text format. So you create a team and include the people who can approve the requests. And I recommend using a specific channel for team requests so people can follow that if they want to. So if there's a new request, they get a notification. And also everyone in the team stays up to date what teams are being created. And yeah, once it's approved, everybody can see it. Power Automate, you can have different requests. You can take it from the form, or you and go through the process, or you can put the form answer directly to the SharePoint list, and then you kind of take a trigger from the SharePoint list, and there's a new role. So that's there's different ways how you can trigger them. Or if you're using Power Automate, you can trigger the flow automatically, for example. Why I like using the list here or some other sort is that you can fill in the information from the bot, you can fill it from the forms, you may have a Power Automate or apps or just some other form that's writing the information to the one place. And when it gets the information, the process is triggered. So you have one process for provisioning. Some parts of this provisioning require use of Graph API, and that's kind of also means that it requires the premium connector use, because otherwise you can't call Graph API. But you can extend current flow connectors or actions a lot with the Graph API, especially when it comes to Teams. There's a huge number of things you can do in there. And of course, include the logic. I hinted about this. When do you need an approval and when you don't? Try to get the number of approvals required as small as possible. Just kind of letting the team know these kind of teams are being created and by who. And you can ask the more information from the requester. I have a sample of this in my demo. Is that you can use the adaptive card from the requester, kind of hey, I need some more information. I have a fixed sample here, but you can make the form smaller, or in some cases, when you have a specific answers on the form, you may want to ask for more details. That's when you want to go ahead and ask that person for more information in Teams message. It's easy. He doesn't have to go and click around. To go to sign into some specific portal or to find information, but instead you can do it very easily in a Teams chat. Private channel can be provisioned, but it has limits. Currently, when you create it, you can't access the private channel files at all. So user needs to go to the private channel in the Teams UI and click on the files tab before it's actually created. And that's a kind of a issue, because you can't force the creation of the drive behind it. So you just have to good to keep that in mind. So you can't do really anything. You can create the channel and add the people there, but that's it. And don't forget to wait for the actions, because some of the provisioning parts are being done asynchronously. So they are all happening in the background and your flow is going forward. So you need to wait for those. And something about the wikis. don't use Wiki. Don't use Teamspeak. There has been so many examples about people are filling everything to the Wiki, and it's lightweight, it's really easy to use from Teams, and then somebody accidentally deletes that or removes that Wiki. What happens? It's removed from SharePoint without it ever going to the trash bin. So you don't get that information back. If it's a kind of information that can be rewritten, yeah, then Wiki is fine. But it's for anything important, use OneNote. Add the OneNote there. And one thing you can do with the auto provisioning is to remove the Wiki automatically from all those channels you have created. So the Wiki is not there to bug the people. They can add it manually if they want, but that's a step they have to be deliberate and do that. Of course, about how to remove wikis, I have that in my sample, but if you are really interested and I want to know a good example how to do that, my colleague Laura Kokkarin wrote an excellent article. She published that today about how to remove wikis during the provisioning process. And she has way more information what to watch out for. As I said, I write the demo code style. I don't have all the checks there. So it's for production apps, use her approach. It's a lot more reliable in there. All right. Now I still have lots of time to demo. Excellent. Have questions, feel free to jump in and ask those questions. And now we are really praying for the demo cards. I'm going to refresh the page just for to be certain that everything is in there. As you can see, I have the app here, and I can start creating a new. Add this team order here. I have the form, and I can put Teams first demo, and let's put. We are finish time is 14:22, so I can do that. Let's do the testing, and okay, I can create a public or private team. I have two samples here. Let's go ahead with the private one, and I want to choose a template. I have just a list of templates here. With Power Apps, you could have some kind of previews when people is selecting something, but from here, and I just choose a, let's say, project teamwork. Of course, I could show a more description about what's in here after choosing that. And then we can choose a cost center. Okay, it's about whatever data. Do we want to add a private channel? Yes, we want, and we just put there for it was the let's just put the private chat for some reason. No, it's not a get this name money talk, and we talk about money there. And I can start submitting. And of course, now it's going to be writing the information to the SharePoint list. It's going to start the provisioning process. And when the process starts, okay, it already started the process and it says close and be a card. Okay. I can check what's in here, and I can see a message. What is the expected life cycle for this team? I can put here, okay, I'm assuming this is going to be 18 months, 1.5 years, and I can submit. So this is kind of the example I was using for requesting more information from the requester. The flow is waiting, and the provisioning doesn't go forward until it is happy with all the information. And now I have create a kind of enter the information, so it is starting to go forward. And of course, it's going to take a while. And meanwhile, I'm going to show one other flow. This is the simple one. This is the one when the request is submitted. I have a group form in use, so I have to enter a custom value of that form because it's not visible in the list. You have to know the form ID. And how do you, and I can just, choose from the different forms I have. But if I open the form, I can find the form ID from here. Yeah, it's easy. And then just using that, I use the template action to create this one, which is easy. I can get the user profile, and I can then enter the provisional request to SharePoint. I have the specific site and specific list. I can use users information if I want to, and so just putting the requester name there and email. And the life cycle is empty in the beginning in that list. And I just fill in the information to the list. And if I go and check out the list, here's the request I created. And here is the lifecycle 18 that has already been updated. I was using the Patrick Kirk profile to create this one. Create private channel, no, I didn't choose that, right? Or did I? Interesting. Is that the first hiccup? Okay, no, so it's not going to create a private channel. I thought I checked that up. All right, so that's going to fail in that sense. But yeah, this is an easy one here. And what is happening when I'm creating this one? I'm going to refresh that. It says it's still running, and going to take a peek at the process. What is happening when there's a trigger when it's added to the SharePoint list? I have a bunch of IDs like application IDs. I need Graph API to do a few things here, so I'm not going to reveal those in this one. And then I have a private channel name, team name, something like that. And I get the admin ID and requester ID just to be certain that I have the profile information. And then depending if team is public or not, I'm just setting the variable here, nothing fancy. And what I'm doing the next time is that I post an adaptive card to Teams user and wait for the response. We waited for the life cycle. We got the life cycle information from that card. And we update the information to SharePoint. And then I have a check. Okay, is it a public or private team? Okay, it's a private team. I can get group members from specific team. This time it's demo space. I can add them to create an approval. And when I create an approval with specific people, when you create the approval, it's going to create an adaptive card automatically for approval, and I can then ask for approval in Teams channel, and it will post that to a channel, to specific channel. So it will put that to the steering management team, which is covering this creation. And I store the message ID I just posted, so I can reply to those messages and then wait for approval. Okay, this is our flow in this moment. And if I go to the steering and management, I can see there's a private team creation, Teams Demo 1422. This is the team name from Patrick Kirk, purpose, template, and okay, here's the private channel is shown. Interesting with the SharePoint list. And do I want to approve this? Okay, or reject. So this is now in team. And this is a team where with specific people as members of the team. And any member of those, any one of those teams can approve this. And I can say, okay, let's approve. And I can put the comments, okay, go ahead, and I submit. And that moment, my flow is going to go forward, and it's saying already, this is approved by me. So everyone else sees here that it's been approved. And as you can see, the team is being created. And I create a team so that my account is the first owner here. And so what is happening? It was approved, and it was yes. Let's go through the messages and post the information about the approval and post this as a reply. And then I have a template selection. It was a teamwork. It's going to Graph API. I can show that a bit later. What's in here when we go this through. And then I wait, and I get the team ID, have some variables. I use another graph call to create a team coffee road channel, and then I have a waiting for all those channels to finish up. So I have a 1 minute wait, and yesterday it was working perfectly on that time. And what is going to happen in just a few minutes? I can see I already have the channels. It has created the chit chat and the news and announcement channel and the coffee room channel. So it has these few channels up and running. So everything is ready. My float just doesn't know it yet. You just have to wait for a few more seconds, and it's going to go forward, and Patrick is added to the team, and then it's going to figure out if the private channel is being created. Yes, it was after all, and it's going to create me a private channel and post information to admins that team has been created. And so if I go here and put here, I can see that this team now the process has been created. So it's the information contained within this same message thread. Replies, don't always send a new message. And then I had some issues with loop through channels, interesting, and something was failing, nice, and don't know what, but let's go through that. But I go through tabs and I get the general channel ID. That's the point. And then I go through tabs and see if the tab is wiki, and I try to remove that tab. And then I post a welcome message to the team. Fine. All right. There was some error somewhere. Okay. Let's see if I have everything in here. I have the Teams Vesa demo. I don't have a wiki tab. I have a welcome message. I have a chit chat tab, and something you will find out sometimes is just things are being provisioned when you click around. So it takes a while before Teams realizes that there are these tabs that has been automatically added. Now when I was, general channel has this, my Teams day block, and one of the URLs put it in, so I have created some tabs in there. And the coffee room is here as well. Okay, then I have the other example I can put in before I run through the process. But before doing that, let's see what's the Patrick's view. That's the Patrick there, and we can see that he's been added to the demo, and there's the Monitor channel. And now when I click here, it's going to create the channel, but it's going to take usually a while before it's creating. Teams is running a bit under stress these days, so it's going to be setting that up. But we can see that Monitor, my own identity wasn't added. I could add that as a team member or channel member there as well. So let's just create the other team, and just for the Teams first public demo and testing, and create a public and use different template, and we don't want to add a private channel this time. What is now happening is that if I go to the SharePoint list, it is adding the auto request there, but there isn't any life cycle yet, and I got the bling. I have to go ahead and fill the information. This is hard-coded, so I just put 6 in here, and then the process after submitting will go forward, and it updated the information to the SharePoint list. And now we are not requesting any approval because it's a public team. We just post the information about this team with the link to the order information and who kind of request that, and have the information for the admin team. So they know people are creating this. And we are doing the same process here. We still have the wiki because we are not at the end yet, and we are creating a different template. Of course, we want to see the provisioning. I'm running on 35, so just go through this. the most critical parts is that I want to post an adaptive card for Teams user and wait for response. So this is one of the several actions you can do in Teams. So this is a Teams connector. Let's see if I can put the themes there. And so I can put the adaptive card to Teams user and wait for response. And so as you can see, there are several options I can use. I can use a flow bot or just to kind of get some information from the user. But here I use this one, and I have the recipient, which is a custom value. I used from the user principal name from requester. I want the information from him, and I can do the adaptive card. I can go ahead, go here and just do the edits very easily. I can edit the text, and I can give an ID for this column. And I can have several more information here. I want them to fill up a form in this matter if I want to. So you can use this very creatively. And after that, we update it and we have that same life cycle in here. It's coming from that adaptive card. A very effective way of getting information. And then we have it was the public team. We are not going to be posting any ask for approval. Just post information to admin. So we can, for example, use this normal Teams message. It was different than adaptive card, but we are getting the ID. If you are looking at what's the information from that post info to admin, well, we can have the body. There's somebody with the mic on. Then you let's see if I can mute them. All right, and then we get the ID, and we go to the creation of them by template, and this is the Graph API that you can use. This is one way. Of course, the ideal way is that this template is somewhere else, and you can just fill in this information. But if you will feel masochistic, you code it directly into this one. If you don't have to change, for example, just have to be careful with the JSON. And I can put in the information and relate all these places to the specific area information I have about team name, purpose, public or standard or private team, and purpose description. And then I can create the channels. And in here, I've created the project management. Even that by default, it's not going to be working for some reason. And I can do the member settings. So this is the Teams Graph API template usage. I always use the standard template because that's the way I can do my own. And I can control which kind of settings here are. And I put the admin as owner. And in here, it creating a teamwork team. It was about the same, but with just different, adding some tabs like my blog and my the spotlight video recording to one channel, and then I have the some of the other channels in here as well, and I have the purpose just copied there. So that limit is there how much information you want to ask from the persons. Then we are waiting, and we are getting the team ID. We are getting the list teams. Okay, this is important that your user is actually in here. The other way is to use Graph API and request for that information. That's using search. It's way more efficient than this one. So this is not far away from a best practice. But this is for easy to do for demos. So in real world, use the graph calls and search and limit that search so you know what you're looking for. And you get the name, and we get the team ID, and then we create a coffee room channel. Why did I put this one in here? Is that this creation is quicker sometimes than the creation of these channels in these templates. These take time. Instead, this one is going to be boom through and kind of added instantly, almost instantly. It's asynchronous, but it's fast. So if you really want to do some channels, you should consider creating a team base first, and then use the channel creation with separate Graph API calls. It's up to you how critical that is, but it gives you an opportunity to kind of click things on and off from team. Like example, you could use the same idea for apps or adding content there or something like that. Just add those logic to your Power Automate and use the graph calls to do things you can't do with out of the box Teams connectors in Flow. Then we add the requester to the team. I just use a couple of ways here. I call directly to the graph to add that person there, and then I make that person as an owner. The ownership may take a while, but I think this is the fastest way to kind of add him. If you use the group adding functionality, it may take a bit more longer. This is still, this request goes through the group, but it's luckily going through the Graph API directly. Then, if we want to create a private channel, it's just an URL of the channel creation, and we specify that it's a private channel. And we specify one owner to this channel. You can specify two in there, and you can't specify two owners in team creation either. That's the thing that I tried that it worked before, but it's been kind of limited to one owner, so you can't add admin and the requester instantly. You just have to add the requester later. So then we do some posting. Hey, it's just a Teams message going through the channels, and we loop through those channels, and we ask for all the tabs in that channel, and we call for the Graph API to get those channels. We do some parse JSON. This was interesting. The quickest way to get the schema is to use Graph Explorer, do this call, and then get that information. But Laura has a better example of this. And if the tab is wiki, or actually the real way again is to check out the type of the channel, of the tab. If that's a wiki, then you delete it. But since there isn't any wiki called tabs, then yeah, this is fine. And it gets the job done, and we just remove that specific tab with delete. And we have a welcome message to the team. Again, we can put some more information there, and we should put more information there. So that's the process of this. Okay, since I'm running already past my 40 minutes, takeaways and watchouts. When you do the approvals in Teams, you avoid the single person bottlenecks. Plan this with your governance team, how they want to approve this, what kind of information they need, what could be automatically approved, where to store information, what to store there. Yeah, auto-approve everything you can, and use the Graph API to do these things. Add the apps, add the bots, add the tabs there, and copy the content, everything you want to do there. And yeah, you can only add one owner when you're creating the team, and wait. So for some actions to complete, you need to wait for them. Otherwise, you will end up in fail. And private channel, I talked about that. Docs.microsoft.com is your friend, and use Teams. It's awesome. Don't do email approvals or portals. Just put them to Teams. I think this is awesome, and Teams is awesome as well. Guys, please rate my session. Was it helpful or not? Go to the Teams feedback. I'm sure that somebody may have posted that, and if not, I can just post it to the chat. And let's see. Well, it's not activating there. All right. And of course, check the keynotes later today. Caruana Gattimus keynote, and of course, Vesa Juvonen, fellow Finnish guy, I'm the principal program manager in SharePoint area, a great guy. They are both running on the same time, so you're going to need 2 screens there. Hey, thank you everyone. And I see if you have any questions, I'll be hanging around now. And please give the feedback.
So Vesa, do we have any premium connectors other than HTTP connector?
There's a big list of premium connectors. I don't have them out of my pocket right now, but you can see them when you are, for example, if you check out the flow connectors, you can, from the Google, you end up in a flow page and you can find out which are premium, which are not. Mostly premiums are related to some other services, but there are some that are working, for example, with CDS and doing this open HTTP request that is needed for graph.
Sorry, my question is like, have you used any other premium connectors other than HTTP in this flow?
In this flow, no. That was the only one.
Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Sorry.
I made it wrong. Thank you.
Yeah. There was some questions earlier. I had to see. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. There was a question: would it work for Teams for education? Yeah. There are those original Teams templates. They include. I used the standard template. They also include the education template. There was the hospital and the retail store, a few templates. So that should be usable in this way. I haven't tried that. That's it. I haven't played with the edu tenants enough, so I'm lacking that part. All right, thank you. Have a short break. There's going to be next people coming up in 30 minutes in different rooms, and I can post that setting of mine. So I have to check the sessions from the list and post the information who's coming up next. Or I think somebody was posting that. Okay, earlier. Hey, but thanks.